It's the meeting every executive dreads. You open the monthly reports, and the revenue lines have taken a sudden, steep drop. At the same time, the cost to acquire a single new customer has spiked to the point where it's eating all your profit. The immediate reflex is usually to start pointing fingers. Leadership might blame the sales team for missing quotas, authorize a massive budget increase for digital ads, or slash prices in half to force volume. But throwing discount codes and ad dollars at a declining market is the corporate equivalent of taking an aspirin for a broken leg. It temporarily dulls the pain, but it leaves the underlying fractures completely untreated. Advertising campaigns, billboards, and social media influencers sit at the very end of your operational pipeline. They are communication tools, not the structural foundation of your business. Those missing buyers didn't vanish into thin air. They still have purchasing power, and they still have needs. They simply realized your product no longer solves their problem, and they took their money to a competitor who does. To actually fix the leak, we have to run a diagnostic check on the foundation of your strategy. That starts with STP, segmentation, targeting, and positioning. The most common failure point happens right at the start, when a company assumes their product is made for absolutely everyone. A healthy strategy breaks down the total market into specific groups. Then you isolate one core audience and build a unique selling proposition, a specific reason why your solution works for their lifestyle. If you skip that step, your messaging becomes generic. You end up paying top dollar to broadcast vague claims to a massive crowd of people who have absolutely no reason to pay attention. The second layer of our diagnostic check looks at the product lifecycle. Every item on the market eventually ages out of peak relevance. The friction points that consumers experienced 5 years ago have likely been solved by newer technology. Their expectations evolve, creating completely new frustrations that your legacy product might ignore. We can see exactly what this looks like with the early Kodak digital camera. Consumer preference shifted away from the cumbersome process of developing physical film, demanding immediate digital feedback instead. A company that refuses to cannibalize its own successful legacy items to meet these shifting timelines will eventually find itself outmaneuvered by newer, faster competitors. Even if you have a perfectly targeted, highly relevant product, none of it matters if the delivery pipeline is compromised. This is the third point of failure: channel leaks. Today's purchase decisions happen across a web of rapid digital interactions. A customer might compare prices on an app, read reviews on social media, and expect a 2-minute response time on a messaging platform before they hit buy. Compare that required agility with the traditional strategy of renting shelf space on a crowded department store floor. Relying entirely on physical retail middlemen leaves you completely blind to who is actually buying your product and why. When your distribution is disconnected from your audience, you end up paying premium prices for digital clicks that bleed out through a leaky pipeline long before they turn into revenue. We can see how these 3 layers interact in the case of Siam Herbal. They were a 30-year-old manufacturer of traditional bar soap, facing a steady 15% drop in sales year after year. Their initial instinct was the classic painkiller approach. They spent millions hiring a young celebrity to promote a pungent, brown bar of soap that was still only sold in older, traditional grocery stores. The actual fix required a complete structural reset. They reformulated the core herbal ingredients into an organic shower gel, specifically positioning it as a premium solution for young office workers dealing with sensitive skin. Then, they pulled the product from those traditional grocery shelves entirely, shifting distribution directly to major e-commerce platforms to meet that exact demographic where they were already shopping. By aligning the physical format, the specific audience need, and the digital sales channel, the brand reversed its decline. It proved that repairing the underlying business structure works where surface-level advertising fails. Take a look at your own core product. Is it an essential painkiller that solves a direct, pressing problem for your customers? Or is it just a vitamin, a nice-to-have item they will immediately drop when budgets get tight? Screaming louder at a broad audience with generic marketing no longer yields a return. Survival depends on stepping back and auditing your entire pipeline, strictly from the perspective of the buyer. But fixing your market position introduces an entirely new danger. Because if that diagnosis is perfectly accurate and thousands of new orders suddenly flooding, What happens when your own factory floor collapses under the pressure?